The new completely incompatible NOBARA is out on the global side of the game, and I'm not saying she's incompatible with teams. That is literally the name of the character, but to simplify it going forward, I will just call her Red NOBARA. She is an attacker type unit who is going to get buffed in the future, but today we're going to be talking about what skills you should be upgrading on her, whether or not you should actually invest in this character, what recollections you want to run on her, and then what materials, of course, you want to farm if you are going to invest in this character. So pre-adjustment to post-adjustment, not a lot changes with this character in the future. I will say the characteristic is one of the things that changes, and then her skill 3, and that is it. Okay, so the characteristic, when Black Flash is performed, increases own Jujutsu damage by 35% and recovers own cursed energy. Post-adjustment, it's going to increase your Jujutsu damage by 45%. So a little bit more damage with the Black Flash, right? So that's nice because it's going to allow her to be a little bit better, but nothing too crazy. Her skill 1 is called Nail Tossing, deals 92.1% ranged Jujutsu damage to the selected enemy for 3 hits, increases the selected enemy's nail count by 3 for 3 turns, decreases the selected enemy's Jujutsu damage by 15.3% for 2 turns 1 time. This is decent because it gives your team more survivability, also stacks some nail counts and gets you some damage, and it doesn't cost any cursed energy. No post skill adjustment for this one, and just to show you guys, nothing changed. Her skill 2 is called Scattered Nail Tossing, deals 60.5% ranged Jujutsu damage to all enemies. So this is where this NOBARA is a little bit different than the other one, because she actually has an AoE, and I think this makes her slightly better than the base general pool yellow NOBARA in my opinion. And then increases all enemies nail count by 1 for 7 turns. Increases all enemies Jujutsu damage received by 7.7% for 2 turns. I think this is actually the best part of this whole skill right here, because if you run this character with like Yuta or another AoE character behind NOBARA and she uses this skill and then that character ults, it can increase their overall Jujutsu damage. Even that 7% could be pretty useful, but if you upgrade it to level 10, it becomes 14%, which may not sound like a lot, but 14% applied to all enemies if you have multiple enemies to take out can be super helpful when stacked with other buffs. So I mean, that could be the make or break for certain stages, meaning I do think this NOBARA has quite a bit of use, like given Illusory Tower and stuff like that. Also, being able to have the nail count on here as well is just nice, because you got nail count from skill 1, nail count from skill 2 as well, and you got nail count from her ultimate, and then skill 3 is the damage skill that gets rid of the nail count as opposed to the ultimate like yellow NOBARA, and it's called Straw Doll Technique Hairpin. And so this skill right here, pre-adjustment to post-adjustment, goes from 338% to 376% damage at level 10. They just upped the damage overall. Basically, they didn't do anything else different. So base 225 to 262. So pretty good damage boost for this particular skill, but that's because this skill is going to be the big damage dealer, and it costs 50 cursed energy. It's literally so expensive. So deals 225% ranged Jujutsu damage to enemies with nail count. So if you have nail count on multiple enemies, you can attack multiple enemies with this skill. The higher the enemy's nail count, the greater the damage. However, this will remove all of your nail counts. Her ultimate is called Well-Honed Strike, deals melee combined damage equal to 399.3% Taijutsu and 512.6% Jujutsu to the selected enemy, increases the selected enemy's nail count by 1 for 8 turns. This is good. Like, by 1 sounds like it's not that good, but the fact that it's 8 turns allows you to stack your nails up a lot higher than you normally would be able to, because you get this additional nail count plus the other nail counts from the other skills. And then remember, your skill 3 scales off a nail count, so your skill 3 then is able to do some pretty good damage. Also, this skill has Taijutsu and Jujutsu damage. I always like it when a skill has both, because that means you are going to have a character that's versatile, because sometimes there's enemies that don't take as much Taijutsu damage, or sometimes there's enemies that don't take as much Jujutsu damage. So that makes this NOBARA a very versatile character. I know a lot of people are going to say she's mid, but just the fact that she has that right there makes her very, very useful in my opinion. Now, one downside to her is that she doesn't have any auto skills, right? But one upside is this part right here. Her ultimate will always perform a Black Flash. That means you're getting an additional 45% damage when she gets buffed, 35% right now, extra damage to whatever this says. So at level 10, you're getting 600 and 770, plus an extra 35 to 45% damage, which is pretty decent. So this character, as an attacker, can hit pretty hard. But with that said, what skill should you be upgrading first? What team should you be putting her on? And what recollections should you be running on her? So starting with teams, the best team on JP right now and on global right now, because all of these characters are currently available on global, is this team right here for her. You run Yaga, you run Nishimiya, you run Kaido to be able to give her cursed energy, to be able to use her skills more often. It's actually kind of important to run Kaido with her, and then you run her as a main attacker. Now, if you were not going to run her as a main attacker, you could run something like Yaga. I would probably get rid of Nishimiya. You would have to get rid of a buffer, move Kaido up, run NOBARA right here in the 3rd spot, and then run another attacker like Yuta or someone else right here in the 4th spot, and that would be pretty interesting as well. So this is a team that I think is very good, and then the other team that I just mentioned I think would be really good as well. I think this is one of the best recollections you can put on NOBARA, because this one gives her extra Jujutsu damage as well as gives her cursed energy back, and as you know, her skill 3 costs a ton of cursed energy, 50. It's like one of the highest in the game, but it's also one of the best damage skills. So you do, it's kind of fair the trade-off right there, but this helps, and having Kaido on the team helps. So that's the one restriction to the character. I think if the cursed energy wasn't so high for that skill, she would actually be higher on the tier list. Now you could also run non-standard, which gives you extra Jujutsu damage. You could also run the strongest people, the 2 strongest people, which gives you extra damage as well, and it also is going to give you a faster ultimate gauge rate, which is just going to help you get your ultimate faster, which means then you are able to stack some more nails faster. So this one's also a pretty good one to run. You could also run Pride, but it's going to be a little bit harder to run Pride overall, just because of her skills and the way her skills work with the nail count and stuff like that. But Pride's one typically you want to stack up to 120%. I don't see her really stacking up to 120% all that often, so it's an okay one, but it's a free-to-play option. Adult Time is a very good one because it's going to allow you to increase the taijutsu technique as well as the jujutsu technique, so it's a very large value for her. And it kind of says all these, what I'm saying right here in these little translations, but these are translated from JP, so keep that in mind if you're reading these. It might be weirdly written. I did not write them because this was translated from JP. This recollection right here, increased damage by increasing the technique and healing the spell power with the remembrance skill, so just another damage one overall. I probably wouldn't really recommend this. Like the top ones I would say are definitely this one, and then non-standard, the 2 strongest people, those are probably the ones I recommend the most, and Adult Time. I like Adult Time. I don't like Pride that much. I don't like it was too late, wasn't it? Other free-to-play options would be these down here, the SR Recollections. These are all fairly decent. Surgical Method increases compatibility with the skill. Technique improvement goes well with skills. For this one, technique goes well with skills. Curse power is restored. I like this one probably the best out of the SR Recollections. This one's decent too, as well, for extra damage. But yeah, I would probably go with that translation is wild, by the way. But I'd probably go with this one. Probably go with that one right there. Crazy. I never noticed that translation. That's so weird. Anyways, moving on. Skill enhancement priority. I would definitely go for the skill 2 first because it's the AoE. It's the one you're going to be using to probably stack your nail counts more often, and it's really good for clearing enemies and multi-enemy waves. Then you want to do your skill 3. Your skill 3, like I said, is going to be one of your big damage dealers. Your deadly is like really, it's weird, right? Normally you would upgrade your deadly first, but in this case, it's kind of low priority because your deadly is just used to add nail stacks for 8 turns. Other than that, it's not super crazy. And then the skill 1 right there. Now the deadly could be more useful and do decent damage, but it just depends kind of on how you're using the character, and if there's like, I feel like this is a character more designed for when there's multiple enemies. If there's one enemy, the deadly I think would be a little bit more useful. Now skill usage priority, use your deadly when you can, obviously, and then your number 2 skill usage is going to be skill 3, right? Those are like your top 2 priorities, and then skill 2 is pretty much the one you're just going to be able to use whenever you can. I don't know why they have you upgrade. It looks kind of weird the way they have you upgrade skill 2 and then they're like, do deadly, then do your skill 3, then do your skill 1, then do your skill 2. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But realistically, skill usage priority, I think, is going to be probably your deadly whenever you can, your skill 2 whenever you can, then your skill 3, and then your skill 1 in between when you need to save up cursed energy to get your skill 3. I think that's realistically why they put it this way, because they want you to skill 1 more often than you use skill 2 to save up cursed energy, but your skill 2 is really good for wave clear, so that's why you would upgrade skill 2. It's kind of weird. I think that the way they have skill enhancement priority and skill usage priority is based on different scenarios, but yeah, in general, this is the right way to do it. And then last but not least, we have materials. These are the 2 types of materials you're going to need to farm the most, whether that's the bronze version, the silver version, or the gold version. The bells, and I don't even know the name of this thing here, but yeah, that's what it looks like. So those are what you're going to want to farm out to be able to get this character to max grade. And keep in mind, grades are going to increase in the future of global. Right now, grades are at grade 9, so we're going to get all the way up to grade, I think JP's at grade 15, so we're going to have a long ways to go. So make sure you have these farmed out if you did get this character, and I hope you're enjoying the character if you did get her. And that is it for the new Red NOBARA's build guide. I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and if you did, please consider going down there, hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.